Tonight on the Goblins Corner.
An interview with Cameron Nunan of Region Unlocked.
That's how we roll. 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 That's how we roll.
Welcome to the Goblins Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
We're interviewing Cameron Nunan of Region Unlocked.
that's right. Cameron Nunan is the co-host of Region Unlocked, a video game and overall culture podcast. Cameron and Jake started Region Unlocked in late 2019 when Jake accepted a job in Japan, and they used the podcast to stay connected and talk about video games. Cameron is the producer of the show and has joined us this evening. Welcome to the show, Cameron.
Hey guys, happy to be hanging out in the corner with you goblins.
We're happy to be hanging out in the corner ourselves at this point.
Indeed.
So Cameron, tell me a little bit about your podcast, Region Unlocked, and maybe how you got started with the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. You hit the basics pretty much in the intro there. Jake's been my best friend pretty much my whole life. We've grown up together, and our whole relationship is really centered around video games. And he took this job in Japan and was like, well, this sucks. We're never going to see each other anymore. But, I had this idea. Let's give it a shot. Try to do this remote podcast from, me here, him in Japan. And it's been going really well. Now, video games is a very unique and original idea for a podcast, as I'm sure you know.
Much like TTRPGs.
But it's going really well. Like I don't care at all if anyone listens to it. If you do, I hope you like it. But it's just been a lot of fun to be able to stay connected that way. And sorry Jake couldn't be here. Again, he's in Japan. That's 14 hours different. So he's at work right now while we're up in the late hours recording this. So, hey, Jake, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day.
Surprise, in a few weeks, you'll be on YouTube.
Hi, Jake.
Hi, Jake.
So, what is your favorite game to play at the moment? I know they change.
At the moment, I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite, and that's really been about it. Actually, Jake and I, we just recently played Resident Evil 5 for the first time on his part. He had never played that game before. So it was very cool to get to go back to play that I haven't touched in like 10 years and then experience that for the first time with him. But, I'm a teacher is my main job, engineering in high school. And I don't always have the most time to play video games. So it's always nice just to have something like Halo Infinite where you can just drop in for as little or as long as you want to and have a good time with that. So I'm really enjoying that game.
That's cool. Yeah. Halo's fun too. And it's one of those games that you can, like you said, you can just kind of play for a couple hours or 30 minutes, even if you want, and then put it down.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because obviously our podcast is definitely related to storytelling and stuff like that. What kind of things draw you to a specific game? So is it, aside from like obviously being able to put it down really quickly, do you have like particular things about graphics or play control or storyline or various other things?
That's a good question. My answer is probably pretty broad. I like a lot of games, and especially those story-driven ones that, can really suck you in. So, Mass Effect, that series is probably my favorite game series ever. And The Last of Us, those story-based games.
Mm-hmm.
Any good single-player experience is really great. I kind of haven't played as many recently just because my office is right next to our living room, and that's where my computer is. So I've been playing Halo on my computer, and then my PS5 is in a different room, and for some reason I just like to be in the room right next to my wife while she's over there like reading. I don't like us being on two separate ends of the house, and our dog doesn't like it either. He's constantly like running back and forth between us, doesn't know where to be. But I think that's why I hang out in my office more and play Halo.
Got to make sure everything's okay.
So you're definitely more for like the solo games than like the MMOs or anything like that.
Well, no, I just recently unsubbed from World of Warcraft just because that game is not updated in so long. I just got bored of paying for it.
Well, the first step of having a problem is admitting that you have a problem.
Yes. Are you saying World of Warcraft's the problem?
Well, yes, I cured myself of that addiction a long time ago.
Yeah, that was one that I've been playing on and off since it originally came out, and I have some friends who are still going at it strong, and that's what kept me in it for so long, is because they were pulling me into the raids and all the mythic dungeons, and then I got tired of it. I might come back when the next patch finally goes live, but it's been a content drought for a while.
Didn't you play? You still play, don't you, Matt?
No.
No?
Yeah, I did play for a little while, but no, I don't play anymore. I came from a different style of MMO, and World of Warcraft seemed very easy and vanilla for me. Because, when I was playing the original EverQuest, and it was a little less hand-holdy. Like, you just...
Nothing but fishing.
No, that's our other friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a little too cartoony for me, and a little too, honestly, but for me, I have two settings. I either don't play a game, or I very much play a game. I'm not good at casual play, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
And so, to me, World of Warcraft has a very strong casual play element to it, which is great. I'm all for it for other people. It's just it doesn't work for me.
And see, like, that's what I like, is the casual play, because I can't get into something just because things crop up when I start to dive into stuff. That's why I like to play. Honestly, that's why I play shooter games all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you've got little ones and I don't, so things crop up far less often for me.
That is also true, yes.
So you actually touched on something that leads into our next question, which was, how does online gaming in particular help with connecting with other people?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, to go back to my recent example, playing with Jake, playing Resident Evil 5 for the first time, perfect example of getting to do that. But honestly, I think it's tough. I've been detached from the more social aspect of online gaming for a while. I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 31, and I feel like the older we get, it's harder to find that time to actually play with friends. And when I do play, I'm not trying to, make friends with the people in my guild or chat in Halo. I'm just there for a good time and then be done with it. But actually, my friend group has done a pretty good job of, staying connected online, where we've just recently started playing, Left 4 Dead, which I had never played before. And that's been a ton of fun, all hopping on Discord and playing through that. But especially now in COVID times, it's good to have those kind of outlets, but I don't know, it hasn't hit the way it used to. Like in high school, when you're all playing Halo 3, every single person is playing Halo 3, and you're talking about it at school and having a good time with that. And I don't know, it just hasn't really been there for me in the same way as I've gotten older. What do you guys think?
I think it was, when you're in high school, it's a life choice versus something that you do to reconnect, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I also think the more draws you have on your time, the less you can indulge in being deep enough into a game to form lasting friendships a lot of times. Because if you're only on for 30 minutes at a time and other people are on for 3 and 4 hours at a time, you're going to be the one that people are like, oh, hey, yeah, I know that guy, in quotation marks, but that's about it.
That's a great point. I mean, even when we play tabletop games and stuff like that, of course, with COVID, we've been doing a lot of Roll20 or Foundry or whatnot. But even then, trying to wrangle a bunch of people together is like herding cats. And it is difficult. And it is a draw on your time because of scheduling conflicts. Everyone's adults,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, do we have the time to play this? You got to make that commitment.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as you get older, it's harder to make that commitment.
We just need to all win the lottery so that we can make a time to play and
Absolutely.
and never have to worry about the financial side of that.
I will have this gigantic table. We all just sit around. Even if we're still in COVID times, then I'll just have hologram of each person, kind of like the meeting area from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like the big what is it, screen window, all the holograms and stuff.
I was thinking Star Wars, but sure.
Star Wars.
Jedi Council.
Star Wars. Yeah, Jedi Council always wear. Yes, absolutely. We'll all wear Jedi robes. Be delightful. Now, speaking of like gaming and stuff like that, obviously your show is predominantly about video games.
Yeah.
But I understand you have some Dungeons and Dragons experience.
A little bit.
Tell me a little bit. What have you played?
So I got suckered into leading or sponsoring the D&D club at my school because I was like the nerdiest teacher there that we had. So all the kids are like, "Hey, you should host this for us." And they're like, I don't know how to do that. I had always been interested in it. I've heard a lot about it. The D&D episodes of Community are like, "Hey, that's awesome. I want to be a part of that. I want to try that." And so I did. I hosted that, and I tried to DM for a while, but I had never done it before. And so I had to put in so much research and planning beforehand that it was just exhausting. And then when you're hosting kids from like 7th grade and up, and they're just poking holes in everything. And it's driving me crazy where it's like, I'm trying to tell a story. It's like, "Oh, I want to pickpocket him." No, not right now. I'm going to pickpocket him. Let me pickpocket him. I'm a dwarf and I'm a rogue. I'm going to pickpocket him. Like, oh my gosh, let's move on.
It's like they've all mainlined a bag of candy and they're all running in 5 different directions.
Exactly. And I'm like, guys, you have a backstory, right? Like, be this character. Don't just be this 7th grader who wants to break the game. And so after a while, I kind of gave up and let someone else take over. At least I made another kid DM. It was just too much planning on my part.
I got to say, good on you to educate the kids about D&D. And secondly, they have a D&D club in school now?
I mean,
yeah.
If you can get a teacher to sponsor anything, you can have a club for it pretty much.
That's pretty awesome. They didn't have that when we were in school.
Illyriana's trying to set one up for her school.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, that's great.
But outside of D&D, I did play Gloomhaven for a while.
I have not gotten to pick that one up.
Oh, okay.
It looks fun.
It was a lot of fun, and that was nice because it's all very... it's prepackaged where you don't necessarily need a DM. It helps to have someone who really, really understands the game, but it's much more self-guided, and I enjoyed that quite a bit.
What's that pirate game we played that didn't really have many rules? It was really just you roll something.
7 Seas.
7 Seas. That's another good one to play with kids because it's not rules heavy. It's very ADD friendly in that you could pretty much do whatever you want. It's kind of zany.
It can be. Yeah.
And it really encourages physicality as well, which if you've got, you said 7th graders?
Not anymore. I'm mostly in high school.
Okay. Well, even high schoolers where they just can't sit still in their seats and stuff. That's definitely something you can have them get up and just kind of wander around and play as pirates.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I also backed that big Avatar Kickstarter. I don't remember if it has a title, but it's supposed to be like Avatar D&D, I'm pretty sure.
It does have a title. Yeah, it's called Avatar Legends, the role-playing game.
Well, that seems easy to remember.
Yeah.
It does.
I do have a question, sort of, since we introduced the concept of a crossover anyway, from cartoon to role-playing game. Are there any video games that you would love to see a tabletop system or setting for?
That's not something I've ever thought of.
We ask the hard-hitting questions around here, sir.
That's right.
I mean, the question is, like, how does that game, how is it going to translate to tabletop? Is it going to be, just putting those characters in to a traditional RPG type game? do we want to come up with mechanics that are similar to that game?
I feel like for a successful transition, you really need to, if the mechanics are a super important part of the video game, then some of those mechanics have to find a way to transfer over to the tabletop.
Yeah, if you're going to put Super Mario Bros. In there, you got to be able to, squish stuff by landing on it. You got to have the mechanics of that and fire flowers.
Exactly.
You got to randomize the question mark boxes.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's going to be a chart table for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, some of my favorite games are kind of like stealth or survival-ish. So say like Dishonored or The Last of Us. How could you incorporate stealth into a game? The only thing that's coming to mind is Nuns on the Run. Have you guys ever played that game?
I have not.
So it's a good tabletop game where you're a bunch of like Catholic kids out of bed in your boarding school, and you got to avoid the nuns while you like collect objectives around the board, or maybe something like Betrayal on House on the Hill. Is that
sure?
Yeah.
Now I think honestly, I do feel like you could run a Last of Us style game
or Dishonored, honestly, because Dishonored's got the shadow powers.
Yeah,
it's got nifty shadow powers, and so you could totally put that into either. Pick a game system, really. You could do that through White Wolf. You could do that through D20.
White Wolf has shadow powers written up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Tenebrous, yeah.
Yeah, and that game's got like deep lore and story that you can pull from.
So yeah, the thing is I think if you understand how the story works, and if you understand how role-playing game mechanics versus video game mechanics work, I feel like you can adapt nearly anything. You just have to find ways to make very specific mechanics crossover.
Well, and this brings up a really interesting point in that while both of our podcasts talk about games, video games and tabletop role-playing games are very similar in their makeup because both of them have specific mechanics and rules. The biggest difference is how you play them.
It's true. And, for me, I prefer tabletops because there are far less concrete inhibitions in tabletops than there are in video games, right?
It depends on what you're playing, too. I mean, even that. So a good example of that would be something like Skyrim, right? It's a very open-ended world. You can do a lot of different things, which in many ways is why I like Skyrim so much, because you can pretty much set your own character, and it reminds me of when we're just storytelling. But then there's very linear games that don't do that. But I've also played linear RPGs with
very much
game masters where they're literally reading off the modules. So there's a lot of crossover between those.
And honestly, the biggest difference is whether or not the mechanics are hidden.
Yeah.
Right. When you push a button in a video game, most of the time the mechanics are hidden. When you push a button in a role-playing game, you're rolling to see whether or not the mechanics are in your favor today.
Mm-hmm.
The randomizers are still there. It's just whether or not they're on screen.
All right. So we wouldn't be this show without a question of the week.
It's true.
And Matt has a question of the week, in fact, for you. Probably for us.
It's true. I think for us, we've probably at least glazed over it a little bit, but let's see. You and your co-host are thrown through a portal into a magical world. What class or subclass, if you know them well, would you pick, and what do you think your co-host would pick?
Dang.
Told you, man, the hard-hitting questions.
I can feel his wheels turning as he's thinking.
Again, tough question. So if I was talking about Jake, so what do I know about Jake? He's very nice. He's very smart. I mean, he knows Japanese, so you got to be pretty smart to pull that off. Well-traveled.
Is he musically or artistically inclined?
Very artistically. He can draw whatever you tell him to.
Could be a bard.
Could be a bard.
He can pick up music, I think, if he tries. I don't think that's ever really been an interest of his. But so bards are the creative ones, which, yeah, primary ability, charisma. Is charisma your strength, Jake? I don't know. I don't know about that.
And keep in mind, it's not necessarily how smooth you are. It's your it's force of personality in general.
Yes, that's true. I don't know. I'm leaning, bard or something wizardy, I think would suit him. How about a bard that can shoot lightning bolts? Is that a thing?
Absolutely. Bards can, in fact, shoot lightning bolts. They are a musical class that casts arcane spells.
Okay. I like that. Jake, you're a bard.
There you go.
And what about you?
Can you take a guess?
Oh, no. I meant for him. I know what yours is.
Oh.
In fact, I could probably name your subclass while I was at it. You're a wizard.
Yes.
And honestly, I would say one of 3 subclasses. Either evocation, necromancy, or the scribe.
Oh, the scribe class with the flying book?
Yes.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Fly around with the book. It would look like the Necronomicon.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of beat you over the head occasionally.
And I like how you shook your head at necromancy and then immediately made your book look like the Necronomicon. I'm just saying.
All right, fair enough. All right. You might have to be pegged here. A little typecast a bit. So, and Matt's going to be a cleric.
Yeah.
There you go. Cameron, what if you thought about yourself?
That's tough. I think in real life, I don't want to fight people up close. So let's throw out the fighters, the paladins, barbarians.
That's going to mostly throw out your rogue also, unless you specialize in like a crossbow or something.
So I'm leaning
trickster.
towards a ranger because for one, hunter is my main and WoW.
Okay.
And I like the outdoorsiness of it, the kind of running through the woods with a bow and arrow on your back. That sounds pretty cool to me.
A little Aragorn action there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. I'm Aragorn.
There you go.
There you go. Right there. That's easy. Very cool. Cameron, where can interested people find your show?
Well, we are on pretty much any podcast service. I believe, we're on all those. We've got a few videos on YouTube. We did a video one, much like you guys currently do, back for our 50th episode special. And then we did a pretty cool special for our episode 64 to celebrate Nintendo 64. We actually...
Nice tie-in.
So we set up our N64s and did like speedrun races together at the exact same time. So, for example, our first game, we did Banjo-Kazooie. And so we both ran into Mumbo's Mountain at the same time and then just did a race to get all 10 Jiggies. And we did 3 different games there. So that was really cool because it's like, hey, we're playing multiplayer with a single-player game and it's still a competition. So that was really fun.
That was really cool. And we will set up some links right here so that people can find your show as well, Cameron.
Well, thank you very much.
Cameron Nunan is the co-host of Region Unlocked. Cameron, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Questions or comments? Write to us. info@goblinscorner.com, or you can reach me, Eric at goblinscorner.com, or
me, Matt at goblinscorner.com.
We're on all the things. Matt, what are some of those things that we happen to be on?
We're on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Twitch.
As Goblins Corner.
And Instagram.
As the Goblins Corner. You like our show? Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite player, YouTube, and Twitch.
If you could do us a favor and click those 5 stars, give us a review on YouTube, Twitch, all of the things. It feeds the hungry algorithm.
Gets our show out to more people. That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name's Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll see you next time. The Goblins Corner is written and produced by Eric Holden
and Matt Staples.
Show song by the mighty D20.
This is a Subterranean production.
Basie.